In this short video, we're going to look at continuous closure using a non-absorbable monofilament suture. The examples of wounds where you want to use this technique would be in the elderly whose skin's quite friable and can easily tear, and in swelling, such as swelling associated with fractures where you're worried that a subcuticular closure might end up to the wound separating. By definition, a continuous non-absorbable closure is likely to be stronger and last for as long as you need it to. The downside of performing a continuous non-absorbable closure is that if you did get any areas of the wound where you wanted to remove a stitch because of infection, or for example, or a hematoma, you can't remove the tension off certain sections of the wound. You'd have to remove the whole suture and therefore let the whole wound hang open. So in this example, we're going to start our continuous non-absorbable closure with a simple suture in the corner of the wound, as we've learned on previous occasions. We're going to do our double throw and lay a nice flat double hitch, single throw in the opposite direction, squaring our knot and parking it on the side of the wound, and then one throw in the opposite direction, which gives us a nice stable place to start. And I tend to leave this limb quite long because a nurse is going to have to remove this because it's non-absorbable, and therefore why not leave him or her a long end to grab hold of to remove the stitch. So to start with, we're going to start with an over and over type suture. In this occasion, we want to start next to our knot so that we bury keep the knot on that side of the wound and just pass the stitch through. And then you're going to see I'm going to be using my economy of movement that we've done on many occasions, just across the wound. And you can see that by coming straight across the wound, it's going to gradually bring the wound together. And you can also see how good you are at stitching at this point, because it's very obvious to know when you've not put your stitches in quite straight. So you can see this is a simple over and over technique, and you can see it's bringing the wound together really nicely there, but it doesn't look particularly neat. And if you were to remove this, you'd have to cut these limbs, leaving some end visible, and then pull each individual limb out, or you could cut the other end of the wound and pull it out as a big long piece of rope. It's really important you get all these stitches out, because otherwise people can get discoloration of the wound where the dark stitch is left in. So that's a simple over and over stitch. I'm now going to move on. Imagine that we've locked the stitch again in this way, but from here, okay? So this time what we're going to do is we're going to do a continuous blanket suture. Now this is where you come over the wound and back again, but on this occasion, rather than pulling the suture here and lying the suture down where it was before, on each occasion you're going to pass this through the loop, and this is what it looks like, okay? And then pull that, and that gives you more of an everted edge. So you can see it's starting to form what looks like kind of the skin after you do a horizontal mattress, and that would be the horizontal limb. And what you can do with time, and this is all about economy of movement, is you can see that I'm pulling the stitch down here and then using a single pass through, and I'm coming up inside my suture. I'm grasping it inside my suture, and so I'm actually creating immediately the next limb of my blanket suture. And this is why this is advanced suturing, because we're teaching you how to stitch using economy of movement, but also getting the same results that one would get if one did exactly like they do on other videos, where they're using needle holders and forceps and coming out in the middle of the wound. So again, you can see the blanket suture lying down nicely there. Again, I'm going to come through and through. I'm pulling my suture down this way, coming through my loop. So there you have it, blanket suture. To end that, again, you want to keep the knot on this side. So a simple bite through. A double throw. And laying your knot down on this side of the wound. And there you have it. You finish that off with a reef knot and you'd cut your ends short, and there you have it, a blanket suture.